Cool day in northeastern Tennessee in Thunder Valley. The stars of the International Hot Rod Association are ready to go back to work after a 3-month hiatus. I'm Bob Barsh along with Ted Jones. You're looking at David Bieneman from Royal Oak, Michigan, as he goes up against Bruce Litton, the #1 qualifier in the opening round of Top Fuel eliminations.
And you know, it's really significant that Bruce Litton came in here and qualified #1. This is only his second year in Top Fuel drag racing. He does own the car now that he bought off of Virgil Hartman. And believe me, it's an all-new drivetrain. This guy is out for blood this year.
5,000 horsepower, clean starts, but then both men go up in smoke. Bieneman checks up, and Litton pedals it to the finish.
Litton will take a 6:05, not real respectable at 206 miles per hour. But hey, who got to the finish line first? That's what it's all about as we look at that replay.
It wasn't pretty in the right lane. Bieneman all over the racetrack, had to lift out of it. Litton was going relatively straight, and you saw the flames from the headers as he pedaled the car to the end. Now to our next pair, Jim Bailey from Mantua, Ohio, going up against the queen of drag racing from Armada, Michigan, Shirley Muldowney. Now let's take you back to qualifying. Coming here to Bristol, Tennessee, off her first ever 300-mile-an-hour performance in Norwalk, Ohio, this was Shirley Muldowney in qualifying. Her husband, Ron Tobler, tunes the car, and they knew what they had. 497, 302.08 miles an hour. And that's not the only 300-mile-an-hour run we've seen thus far this weekend. More on that in a moment. Right now, it's time for eliminations.
Shirley first off the line, 5:57 reaction time, pulls away steadily. Shirley, 499, 300.06 miles per hour. That makes it official. That 302-mile pass becomes a world record.
Among the cars that did not qualify for the Spring Nationals, Jack Ostrander, defending champion Wayne Bailey, and Yuichi Oyama of Japan.
This is Doug Herbert, the man that set the first 300-mile-per-hour run in IHRA history. His opponent, Rhonda Hartman.
To the line they come. You ride with Rhonda Hartman. The front end comes up in the air and then bangs down hard as Doug Herbert disappears, but he has problems.
Looks like he's blown a clutch, sparks flying everywhere, parts going everywhere. Lucky Rhonda's back behind him because there's probably some hot molten steel flying around on the shutdown of that drag strip. Let's look at it again. Oh, Rhonda way up in the air. She continues to stand in it and finally is forced to lift. Wow, what a driving job for that lady.
She is out in the first round, however, as you see Doug Herbert in the left lane, a shower of sparks as the clutch consumes itself. Hartman came into the race off her best ever performance.
Would you believe Herbert still ran a 5:73? Here comes Danny Dunn, who managed to qualify again, the guy from the Dunn and Camp that always runs out of parts against Paul Romine.
Romine, the winner of the Winter Nationals at Darlington, comes across the line with the front end hopping all over the racetrack and a big cloud of smoke. He might have hurt the motor.
Very expensive, Bob. He hurt the motor big time.
Here's a look at our semifinal matchups. Bruce Litton and Paul Romine, Doug Herbert and Shirley Muldowney. By virtue of the quicker ETs, Romine and Muldowney will have lane choice. In the staging lanes, alcohol funny cars, including reigning world champion Vaughn Smith. Stay with us. Welcome back to legendary Thunder Valley, Bristol International Dragway, and one of the legendary events in all of drag racing, the Prolonged Super Lubricant Spring Nationals, presented by Parts Pro. Before we get back to the action, here's Ted Jones.
You're down in the Pro Stock pit area, Billy Huff. No, you're still watching the IHRA event. We haven't switched to NHRA. Billy Huff has come back home. Now, he left the IHRA after doing very well in Pro Stock competition, mountain motor style, on the IHRA trail, and went NHRA drag racing. Now he's back over here, bigger and better than ever, with a brand new sponsor, a new 1997 Jerry Haas prepared Firebird, and a new Sonny Leonard 812 cubic inch mountain motor. Now, the Huss won't tell us exactly how well the car's been running or what they expect from it, but also notice crewing with them this weekend, and they're making no comment about this, is Alan Johnson, who does well with NHRA, and former IHRA sportsman standout Roy Johnson. What's going on here? Well, we don't know for sure, but one thing's for certain, Billy's back, and the competitors wish he would have stayed over at NHRA.
No question about that, Ted. Welcome back, Billy. Let's go to the quarterfinals of Alcohol Funny Car now. In the far lane, Scott Wise, who set a new track ET record in qualifying. He'll be going up against the pride of Welland, Ontario, Canada, Larry Dobbs.
Wise qualified number 1. He had a big money injection from Sherwin-Williams, and that's all he needed. Wow, look at that car run. 6:06, 230. He made light work out of Dobbs.
With a big hop at mid-track, Wise is in great shape. Here's a look at those who did not qualify. And key among them, the defending Spring Nationals champion, Jim Lake from Myerstown, Pennsylvania. What an opportunity for the rest of the field. Now look at that beautiful number 1 on the side of the Atomic City Tools Alcohol Funny Car, driven by Vaughn Smith out of Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Where else? He's going up against Monty Todd from Montgomery, Alabama.
The number 4 and 5 qualifiers meet up. Monty Todd, a second-generation drag racer. His son, Charles Todd, ran a drag strip in Alabama for many, many years. Monty, a veteran on the IHRA trail, but not veteran enough. Vaughn Smith, 6:14. Get this. Monty Todd ran a 6:12. A whole-shot victory for the world champ. A 4:62 reaction time.
No question about it. It was the whole shot that got Vaughn Smith there first. There you see maintenance on Shirley Muldowney's top fuel car. Look at the size of that oil pan.
Well, you have to bring these top fuelers down between just about every round, because believe me, with that nitromethane and all that horsepower, you do some damage even when you win.
On to our next pair in Alcohol Funny Car. Jimmy Rector, the superstar of last year, just edged by Vaughn Smith for the title. He's up against Jim Sickles from Caledonia, New York, and problems for Sickles right out of the box.
Rector wraps it up with a 6:24, runner-up at last year's event here at the Spring Nationals. He'll move on into the semifinal round.
Over in the pits, there's Bruce Litton's crew hard at work. They have about 90 minutes to get a lot of maintenance done. They're going to need 5-second ETs and 300-mile-an-hour speeds to beat Paul Romine in the next round. Just a few feet away on the racetrack, our final pair in Alcohol Funny Cars, Scott Wenny and Jerry Thalacker.
Scott Wenny, the number 2 qualifier right behind Scott Wise, won this event in 1995. Believe me, he's plenty tough. Good reaction time for both drivers. Give it to Wenny, 6:09. Wow, he'll be in the semifinals very respectably. He couples that up with 229 miles per hour.
Here's a look at the semis in Alky Funny Car. Wise will meet Smith. Rector will meet Wenny. Lane choice will go to Wise and Wenny. We'll take a break. In a moment, Pro Modified, featuring the 5-time world champion, Scotty Cannon. Stay with us. Back at Thunder Valley, there are souvenirs, and then there are souvenirs. Welcome back to the Spring Nationals. Before we get to Pro Modified, here's Brett Kepner with this edition of Drag Review.
Well, gentlemen, obviously Drag Review is about what's new, right? Well, because of the tremendous glut of new cars being built at chassis companies all around the country during the winter months, it has made this 33rd annual Spring Nationals one of a tremendous number of season debuts for cars midway through the year. A plethora of new Pro Modifies showed up at this event, accounting for a bunch of the 52 entries for 16 cars. It's the largest Pro Mod field in history, and it included Ed Hoover and the Trussell Brothers team out of South Carolina, Dan Bandish in the modern-day Outlaw 1963 version of the Stingray from Melbourne, Florida. And switching away from a 63 Corvette body style, surprisingly, was the one and only Scotty Cannon. His new Onset magazine machine is once again a 1941 Willys body style. Still retains its same sponsorship, but the big trick here is under the hood. No more supercharged power plants for Cannon, at least in the hot summer months. He's gone back to a nitrous-injected engine. But absolutely, hands down, the most spectacular debut came from Johnny Rocca. Take a look at the brand new Iron Horse 1949 Mercury Lowrider. This thing is everything that a custom car should be and more, including teardrop spotlights, 55 Lincoln taillights, fender skirts, white walls, moon disc hubcaps, and oh, by the way, in match race competition before this event, it ran 6.51 seconds at over 214 miles an hour. That's this edition of Drag Review. And remember, you can get all the news on the new cars and results from every IHRA Snap-on Tools national event inside IHRA's Drag Review magazine. You can subscribe by becoming a member of the International Hobbit Association. Simply call the 1-800 number you see on your screen, 1-800-554-9000. With your membership, you'll receive 22 issues of Drag Review magazine, a jacket patch, a membership card, an IHRA rulebook, and, of course, all the benefits that come with being an IHRA member. Join the IHRA family of fast friends. And if you subscribe now, you'll get this copy of Quarter Mile Crashes, the wildest moments in IHRA Snap-on Tools drag racing history, all caught on video.
All right, thank you, Brett. Pro Modified quarterfinals. Our first pair, Todd Tutterow from Louisville, North Carolina, and Ed Hoover, the veteran campaigner out of Gilbert, South Carolina.
The number 9 and 16 qualifiers. Tutterow coming out of the old junior pro stock ranks, but look at him run now. A 419 reaction, by the way, 400 being perfect. 657, 212 miles per hour for the vet.
Over on the return road, there you see the pro stocks rolling out. That's Doug Kirk's machine. Kirk, the former world champion. Angelo Alessi, he's been tough. He won late last season. Back on the drag strip, our next pair in Pro Modified, Wally Stroop and Ed Burnley, a pair of 700 cubic inch Pontiac Mills under 1963 Corvette bodywork.
Stroop qualified number 3, came in from the Super Chevy circuit and is starting to really make noise here with the IHRA. 658, he's in the semifinals at 212 miles per hour.
Boy, that Corvette bodywork is so popular. Of our 8 quarterfinalists, 7 of them are using it. Here's the one man who's not. This is Scotty Cannon, the 5-time world champion, and his all-new Willys with that nitrous-boosted, normally aspirated engine that Brett mentioned. In fact, nowhere in our 16-car field did we see a single supercharged engine.
But look who he's running. Tommy Mooney, the former world champ. Guess who his crew chief is this weekend? Shannon Jenkins. Guess who just won? Tommy Mooney.
Shannon Jenkins was Scotty Cannon's nemesis last year. Mooney will meet Stroop in one half of our semifinals. Ricky Smith, the 5-time pro stock champion, he had a walkover. He'll meet Todd Tutterow in the other half of our brackets. Over on the manufacturer's midway, Miss Prolong welcomes fans to the Spring Nationals. We'll be back with more from Thunder Valley. Stay with us. Welcome back to Thunder Valley and the Prolong Super Lubricant Spring Nationals. Paul Romine making it a family affair in Top Fuel. What a return to Top Fuel drag racing Romine has made after 20 years away from the sport. Pro Stock quarterfinals. Our first pair will be Doug Kirk from Lenore, West Virginia, and Tony Gillig. First time we've met Tony out of Lake Zurich, Illinois. The big news thus far, Richie Stevens, who won this race a year ago and won the season opener in Darlington, South Carolina, is out of the competition after the first round.
In case you're wondering, yes, that is Carlton Phillips' Pontiac that Kirk's running for the weekend. He borrowed it from Carlton after he ran out of parts. And, hey, Carlton, he's doing you proud, buddy. He's in the semifinals.
Gillig with massive problems off the line. You know, I understand Gillig owns an island in Lake Zurich. They call it Gillig's Island.
No.
Well, that's what I heard.
He owns a pizza business, family operation. Meanwhile, down in the Top Fuel pits, mixing nitromethane with alcohol. Very little alcohol, a lot of nitromethane.
And it makes a heck of a bang in a Top Fuel engine. Our next pair, Jerry Yeoman in the near lane, Steve Williford in the far lane.
Jerry Yeoman, the number 4 qualifier, owns the drag strip in Tulsa, Oklahoma, but comes out and does very well in IHRA Pro Stock drag racing. Oldsmobile-powered 96 Cutlass rolls to victory, and he almost lost to Steve Williford, who had a great 450 reaction time.
Williford with 815 cubic inches of Chevy V8, biggest engine in the class. Brett Kepner.
Nobody ever accused Clayton Harris of being easy on parts. Let's face it, the past world champ is crew chief of Paul Romine's team for a reason. Because he likes to push things. This motor's junk after the first round. Their clutch system malfunctioned. It never went below 7,200 RPM in the entire run, so they decided to throw another one in. Let's face it, with Romine's retirement ending, he hasn't lost a round. Now, he's a points leader on a mission.
And it is tough in the IHRA. In Pro Stock, nobody over 7 seconds or under 200 miles an hour in the first round. Angelo Alessi now takes on John Koenigshofer.
Alessi qualified number 2. He's the guy to beat right here. 813 cubic inches of Mountain Motors. Chevy says, yeah. 863. Nice reaction time. These guys are wired to the tree.
Angelo Alessi from Cleveland, Ohio, has been coming on in the biggest way over the last season. There you see more work going on. Ron Tobler and crew working on Shirley Muldowney's Chariot.
This Top Fuel war is really heating up. We'll have it in a little while. Right now, though, the final run in our quarterfinal round of Pro Stock.
Top qualifier and 2-time IHRA world champ Billy Huff in the near lane, David Jenkins in the far lane.
Huff with a brand new sponsorship from Vince Shade. Look at him go. Top end drives around Jenkins. I don't believe that. He literally powered around him with a 681, 203 miles per hour.
Let's get on board now with Billy Huff. Ted Jones, I got to believe they've been testing hard somewhere. He is in mid-season form.
You had better believe it. Huff actually had a better reaction time, but Jenkins was out in front of him somehow. Then Huff put on a big top-end charge to pick up the win.
Here are our pairings for the semifinals. Angelo Alesi will have lane choice against Doug Kirk. Billy Huff will decide which lane Jerry Yeoman will start in. Now remember Doug Herbert's problems in Top Fuel? Here's Brett Kepner with a follow-up.
That clutch explosion in the first round for Herbert took care of everything. Most of the fingers on the clutch gone. There's what's left of your floater plate. And as you can see, even the main clutch discs right next to it, pretty much trash. So that initiated, of course, the entire ritual. Everything's new from the roll cage back except for the chassis. But if anybody has a combination that can work at Bristol, it's the man who's won here a bunch. And after being the first to break 300 miles per hour on the mountain during qualifying, you got to figure he knows how to do it again.
No question about it, Brett. 5 victories makes Doug Herbert the 3rd winningest driver of all time here at Bristol. There's Paul Romine trying to make it 2 in a row. We'll be back with more from Thunder Valley. Back at the Prolong Super Lubricant Spring Nationals presented by Parts Pro at Bristol International Dragway. I'm Bob Varsha along with Ted Jones. Let's get right to our Top Fuel semifinals. In our first pair, Bruce Litton and Paul Romine. Both men from Indianapolis, Indiana. There is Romine, who won the season opening Winter Nationals in the biggest possible way, going under 5 seconds in elapsed time. And there is Litton, the trailer building businessman. Shops are right across from the gates at Indianapolis Raceway Park, site of the biggest drag race in the world.
Litton, incidentally, was runner-up at last year's event at the Spring Nationals when he served notice to everyone driving on the Virgil Hartman team that he was going to be a top contender in Top Fuel. Well, here he is in the semifinals against Romine. As you said, Bob, the guy who won the opening event this year, also the man who went in the 5s with a front-engine Top Fuel dragster at Morocco, Indiana 1 year ago.
Romine wrenched by Clayton Harris.
Clayton, one of the top wrenches in Top Fuel on the IHRA circuit. Of course, the former IHRA competitor in Top Fuel with his new Dimension dragster.
Flames from the headers. They're underway. On the wheel come up. A blowover, a huge crash for Paul Romine.
Romine may be in deep trouble here. The car still moving around, finally hits the guardrail. He's upside down. Now we begin to see a little smoke coming, hopefully no fire. The safety crews are on the scene almost immediately. One of the IHRA officials rolling, now an ambulance rolling, looking for Romine. He's crawling out from under the car. Paul Romine escapes unscathed.
What a backflip by Paul Romine in the same lane that an identical situation unfolded for Doug Foxworth back in 1993. Let's take another look.
Paul Romine seemed to leave the line. Everything was just fine as he comes off that concrete pad. Now he starts climbing in the air. The car keeps climbing and climbing, suddenly completely out of control. Realize at this point there's nothing Paul Romine can do except set in that roll cage and ride it out.
You saw the tin bodywork flying off, and that big rear wing actually kept the cockpit and its roll cage off of the ground, contributing to the safety of the driver. Now look for the flames to stop out of the headers. It was a while before he got out of the throttle.
He actually didn't lift until that car was pretty well in the air, and at that point in time, there's nothing he could do. That car was already airborne. The air was underneath it, and it wants to fly just like an airplane wing. Look at him scooting across the finish line on his side. The sparks you see flying are from metal rubbing on the asphalt surface.
There's the accident scene. Our cameraman down there with Brett Kepner. Paul Romine is out of the car. Brett?
I can't believe you were out of the car quicker than the crew was, I think.
Well, I saw the fuel running out of there, and I wanted the hell out of there.
You got out. You apparently are fine.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, I'm okay. That's, you know, all the safety things that we do, and that's a McKinney car, and as far as I'm concerned, they're the best. And, you know, it was just a ride. You know, that's why I spend so much time getting bolted in that baby. I'm tight as a drum, so, I mean, I'm all right.
There's another look at the wreckage of the car, and I do mean wreckage. Keep in mind, the fuel tank is in the nose of the car, as far away from the engine as it could be. Of course, that put it right in Paul Romine's line of sight.
Murph McKinney certainly did his job as the car held up to the impact. As we look at that blowover and the pieces coming off in regular time, it all happened so quickly, Bob. There's nothing Romine can do except go for the ride.
Well, you've heard it before in auto racing crashes. The car is designed to dissipate energy by bending sheet metal. Brett.
You of all people have been through this scenario before with other team drivers. Every one of them's come out okay, but this one, the cowling didn't even come off. Apparently, the actual driver's area was absolutely flawless in its construction.
Oh yeah, it's a real good constructed car. Murphy McKinney car, and it's built real well. The body is held on sufficiently, and I really believe malfunction in the front wing. We'll have to look at the video and see.
Maybe the wing may have fallen backwards and turned it into an airplane.
Because it was just too quick. And at that speed, the front wing is putting down about 4,000 or 3,000 pounds of force. So it just happened too quick. If you remember, in my mind, everything's fine, and then all at once, it's immediately up.
Right. Yeah, it could very well be that, but is there anything you can develop? I know you had an idea years ago about a light beam that would determine how high the car came up. Can you initiate that maybe in a new car?
We have that capability of doing that. We have it made now, and it does work.
I'll bet it'll be on the next car you have.
Yes, it will. Thank you.
Let's go right over here, guys.
He's okay.
They said he was out here.
Okay, now, how far did he go?
He was down there a ways.
And it was up in the air from the starting line?
No, it was up from about 500 feet.
Oh, it started picking him up out there?
He stayed with it way too long.
Oh.
Shirley Muldowney talking it over with Ron Tobler. She'll be up next. The car did its job. Paul Romine is safe. We'll be back. Welcome back to Bristol International Dragway in the 33rd Annual Prolonged Super Lubricant Spring Nationals, presented by Parts Pro. Bob Barsha, Ted Jones with you. Everybody has had some time to think about that amazing blowover suffered by Paul Romine. Shirley Muldowney and Doug Herbert, a pair of Top Fuel champions, will go head-to-head in the second half of our bracket right now for the right to meet Litton in the finals. Although, in watching Paul Romine's blowover, you notice that the car was almost lost in a cloud of smoke. That came from Litton's car. He hurt the engine badly.
These two drivers have to be thinking about what they just saw in front of them, but being cool professionals, they won't let it affect them in the least. Oh, a little wheel hop there for Herbert. Wow, you know that Romine accident went through his head when those front tires did that little hop. Herbert picks up the win over Muldowney, 5:02, 298 miles per hour.
So our finals in Top Fuel will be Bruce Litton, assuming he can make repairs, and Doug Herbert going for his 6th win here at Bristol. Now let's take you back to 1993 and the bright yellow machine of Doug Foxworth. Watch him in the far lane, the same lane that threw Paul Romine in the air. Doug Foxworth going for the ride of his career.
There have been a lot of accidents here at Thunder Valley in that left lane for some reason. Look at the blowover, almost identical, sliding across the track into the other lane. Spooky, isn't it? Deja vu.
A little twist adding insult to fortunately no injury at all for Doug Foxworth. Once again, the frame rails and roll cage did their job. Now back to contemporary days. Alcohol Funny Car semifinals. There is Scott Wise with that new Sherwin-Williams sponsorship, a beautifully prepared car, preparing for his semifinal matchup against the toughest dog on the porch in 1996. This is Vaughn Smith, the reigning world champion.
Smith qualified number 4, of course. Wise qualifying number 1. You're right, Bob. This will be a real shootout. A Mustang against a Pontiac Formula.
Now keep in mind, no man or woman for that matter has ever repeated as Alcohol Funny Car champion at the Spring Nationals.
Well, Scott Wise would like to be the first guy to do it, and it looks like he's on the path to doing that as he pulls ahead. Wow, what a finish. Scott Wise, 6:10 to a losing 6:13. Why was it so close? Vaughn Smith had a 4:42 reaction time to a 4:71 for Scott Wise. Look, Vaughn Smith was coming on Wise, lost by inches.
You sure can't tell me you can tell who won that one.
Yeah, that was the closest drag race of my life right there.
4,000ths of a second at the finish line. Guy right behind you there, left on you.
Oh, man.
Just figured.
Good race, John. Good race, fun. Thank you.
6:10, though, it's not like it's slowing down a heck of a lot.
Shaking the tires a bit. Track's getting a little bit funny out there. But
Yeah, this is weird. I mean, we're used to heat and sunlight on this track this time of day. Now it's just the opposite. Cloud cover, and it's getting cool.
It's coming around. Sherwin-Williams Funny Car in the finals.
5? 5? Is it 5 weather?
It's potentially 5. We can keep this rain off of it.
See what happens.
Thank you.
We
had big rain problems on Saturday night, washing out final round qualifying, which makes getting the setup right an even bigger guessing game for these teams. Now there's Jimmy Rector, who won just about everything in sight except the championship in 1996. He's going up against Scott Wenny, Vernon, Alabama against Spring City, Pennsylvania.
Well, and Bob, while you're mentioning the things Rector did not win, one of them was this race, the Spring Nationals. He was runner-up last year. Scott Wenny won it in 1995. This should be a great drag race and a red light start. Well, what should have been a great drag race turns into an I-League contest. Look at this. A foul start by Winnie, a 2:19 reaction time, so he wasn't trying to chop the tree down.
That was strange, and as you see, Rector choosing not to hurt any parts. Not much fun for the fans, not much of an artistic success, but it counts, and Jimmy Rector will go to the finals in Alcohol Funny Car, where he will meet Scott Wise, and we already know what he can do. That should be a great final. Now here's Brett Kepner with a track fact and some big news for IHRA Snap-on Tools fans.
Well, gentlemen, this one should probably be retitled, It's Finally a Fact. We've been talking now for a couple of years about the incredible popularity of Top Dragster Eliminator, where the world's quickest and fastest sportsman cars reside. But now IHRA has finally gone ahead here at the Spring Nationals and used this 33rd annual event as a showcase for an experimental heads-up division for the quickest of the Top Dragster entries. It was an 8-car field. The first race featured a 6-second bump spot, and the neatest thing about it was that it included the tremendous diversity the Top Dragster had already been known for. TJ Lefter's supercharged small block Chevy dragster out of Indianapolis was the #1 qualifier. And remember that these blown small blocks are restricted to a relatively small 1071 GMC root style supercharger. The small block engine can only be coupled to a fully automatic transmission. However, if you run a big block engine, you're allowed to use nitrous oxide injection. And this class had one. If you run an altered roadster or coupe, you can do anything you want. The other aspect of this class that made it so popular with the fans first time out is that it featured Chevy, Buick, Olds, and Ford engines out of the 8 qualifiers. With that kind of diversity and incredible side-by-side competition, it looks like it was a success. We'll keep you posted on what transpires in the future about the possibility of including this new semi-pro category full-time in 1998.
All right, thanks, Brett. Let's check out our Top Dragster Quick 8 final here at Thunder Valley. In the near lane, Larry Plummer from Pasadena, Maryland. On the far, TJ Lefter from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Maybe someday you'll be watching this in the pro show because it'll be a pro category. That's the plan I had on the drawing board about 7 years ago. Hopefully it will come to fruition in 1998.
Quick 8 winner, Larry Plummer with a big block Pontiac on nitrous oxide. We'll take a break, and when we return, Pro Modified semifinals. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Spring Nationals. Bob Barsha, Ted Jones with you. Before we get back to the action, there's concern in the top fuel pits. Here's Brett Kepner.
While virtually everyone was watching Paul Romine's blowover, few people noticed that this is what was happening to Bruce Litton's engine. And this, by the way, was the good engine. The 4.89 second #1 qualifying track record holder at a shutoff speed, mind you, that was dominating so far. Now for the final round, everything that's in Litton's car is new. Never been fired equipment. As a matter of fact, they've already changed their game plan for the final round. It's not that they don't think this engine has 4.8 second power. It's that they don't want to get too aggressive, and conservatism may be called for. Right now, they don't want to smoke the tires in the final round like they did in the first, and they don't want to blow the rods out like they did in the second. Whatever combination goes in this brand new power plant, you can bet it's a potential winner.
Well, you get some idea of the frenzied activity in those pits between rounds. Pro Modified semifinals. Coming back off the burnout, you're looking at Tommy Mooney, a former IHRA world champion. He'll be going up against the identical 63 Corvette bodywork of Wally Stroop from Kings Mountain, North Carolina. In fact, it's an all-Tar Heel half of this semifinal. In fact, it's an all-Tar Heel semifinal round. 706 cubic inches of Pontiac power under both hoods.
Identical except for the qualifying. Wally Stroop qualified 3, Tommy Mooney 7, but Tommy Mooney has the experience on the IHRA trail. He says, here, take this. A 470 reaction time couples with a 657. He'll move into the final. Look at it one more time. This was really a good, close Pro Mod drag race.
I don't understand this one. 657. Now, where did all those 51s and stuff come from in the heat? Now this.
Well, that thing was pretty greasy out there last time, so we took a bunch of clutch out, and as you know, the sun's gone and it's got good again, so by the grace of God, I made it by that one, I guess.
He was right with you. You both left about the same, so it was a good close race.
Yeah, I saw him all the way. I was sweating.
Welcome back to a final round, by the way.
I love it. It's been a long time.
It has indeed. Factor in reaction time and elapsed time. True margin of victory, 2/100ths of a second. Now our second pair. In 63 Corvette bodywork, Ricky Smith, the 5-time Pro Stock champion, making a name for himself in Pro Mod, though he has yet to win a national event, going up against Todd Tutterow. King, North Carolina against Louisville, North Carolina.
We talk about experience. Ricky Smith, the winningest driver in Bristol history with 8 national event victories. He's been here before. Let's see if that experience pays off. Tutterow first off the line, but barely. Almost identical reaction time. Tricky Ricky, 6:53, 214 miles per hour. Ricky's in a final one more time.
Well, in the Pro Stock days, we were used to seeing Ricky Smith murder his opponents on the tree. Tutterow got away 4/1000ths of a second quicker.
Easily known as one of the greatest single success stories in IHRA. I mean, let's face it, the king of Pro Stock, more final rounds than anybody else in the door slammer category. Now you're going to do it in yet another class. People don't realize Pro Stock for you was not your first world championship. I mean, you were a king in sportsman racing, too. Now you're going to do it again.
Well, it'd be nice to do it in 3 different categories, Brett. You know, we're trying hard, and just thankful for people like Larry Tutterow, Carolina Drillin, Pete Williams, and Don Gray. Man, I'm just happy to be in the finals. I mean, we've worked hard to get here. You know, it's just great. I can't explain it.
Let me add to your joy. Lane choice.
That's just great. That's just great. Thank you, man. Woo.
Well, you heard Brett tell Ricky, lane choice in the final round, and a matchup of champions from 2 different classes. Will Tricky Ricky have something for Tommy Mooney? We'll find out a little later in the show. After a break, we'll be back. Pro Stocks from Thunder Valley. Welcome back to Bristol International Dragway, undergoing a multi-million-dollar facelift, not only here on the strip, but across the way at Bristol Motor Speedway. Here's Brett Kepner.
Haven't we been here before? An expensive day for Doug Herbert and the Snap-on Tools team as motor number 2 enters the frame rails, and this is just, of course, for eliminations. However, the 5:02 in the semifinal round indicates that they definitely have not lost their 300-mile-per-hour combination from qualifying. They can get by one more round, they've got it made, but Bruce Litton will be there to try and stop them.
Right now, it's a battle of the pit crews. Incidentally, I mentioned Bristol Motor Speedway back in 1965, a winner here at the Spring Nationals in the B-Altered category, King Richard Petty, in a Plymouth Barracuda with a big Hemi under the hood. We are in the Pro Stock semifinals. Angelo Alesi from Cleveland, Ohio, will meet Doug Kirk, a former IHRA world champion from Lenoir, West Virginia.
And as we pointed out earlier, Doug Kirk in a strange car, the Sea-Ray sponsored car of Carlton Phillips, who is not here this weekend, taking care of his marina back up in Virginia. Good hole shot for Doug Kirk, a 4:23 reaction time. He's making a race out of it unless he drives around him. 6:79.202. Kirk could not come up with the number.
And that wastes a 4:23 reaction time by Kirk, the best thus far. In Bruce Litton's pits, the crew continues to slave over that all-new drive line as the clock continues to tick away. Meanwhile, in Doug Herbert's pit, like most drivers, likes to mix his own nitromethane.
Angelo Alesi proved he was more than capable when he took his first national event win in his rookie year. Now, how about 4/1000ths of a second off low ET? 6:79.7. That is impressive.
Oh, my gosh. I didn't realize it was such a good run. I couldn't hear on the radio what had happened. And I got to thank my crew and Sonny Leonard for building the power that he's built me. And Dale, who's my crew chief, is just excellent. I mean, he's just doing a great job. And, you know, the times are telling the tale.
Well, let's see if Billy Huff has somebody really right alongside him.
I understand that. He's tough.
Angelo's talking about crew chief Dale Kindle. He does have a crack organization. Second half of the draw now. Billy Huff from Shepherdsville, Kentucky, has his Pontiac Firebird in the lanes to meet Jerry Yeoman from Galena, Kansas, in a 96 Olds Cutlass.
This will be a war. Yeoman runs very well with that 813 Oldsmobile, but Billy Huff came in here, laid down the #1 qualifying spot with the Vince Shane car, anybody's drag race. First off the line is Yeoman, but barely, nearly identical reaction times. Side by side, wheel to wheel, it's going to be Billy Huff. 680, 203 to a losing 682, 9,000ths of a second difference in this drag race. Let's go for a ride, Bob.
You couldn't have written this if you hired Hollywood scriptwriters.
Oh, heck. Well, I hope everything's all right. I heard it pop when I pulled it into high gear down there. I don't know what it was. I ain't got but one bullet this weekend, so I got to take care of what I got.
Wouldn't be a Billy Huff race if you didn't have to work.
Hey, I wouldn't know how to act, would I?
Bad news is they caught up to you already. 679 for Angelo Alessi. You went an 80.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. I've lost lane choice. To be honest with you, I ran out of the left lane earlier this weekend in qualifying. I can't see the ambers out of the left lane. IHRA might have moved the tree if they did. I'm going in there not knowing if I can see the Christmas tree or not.
What day could you not see the tree?
Friday.
They moved it on Saturday.
We'll see.
Nice pun. That big hood scoop in the way, the driver on the left, the lights on the right. It can be hard to see. Alessi will have lane choice against Huff in the finals. Now, meanwhile, getting close, says Bruce Litton as the clock continues to tick away. The crew appears to be just about ready, but over in the staging lanes, his opponent in the Top Fuel finals, the world champ Doug Herbert, is there. And now he must wait to see if Litton will make it. We'll be back. Back at Thunder Valley, there's a piece of drag racing history. The first multi-level timing tower, completely renovated as the improvements continue here at Bristol International Dragway. It is happy hour. The finalists are headed for the staging lanes. There's Jimmy Rector. Earlier, we listened as Doug Herbert and Ricky Smith plotted setup strategy with the use of their onboard computers.
As the engine goes across, as the clutch is applied, the engine pulls down a little bit, and then right here, the tires start to get loose, the engine revs up. So on that last run racing Shirley Muldowney, I had to get off the gas and back on the gas. You can see the engine RPM drop off and back on, and the drive shaft speed going up here is coming away, and then all of a sudden it drops down and hooks back up and goes down the track. When the engine comes down here, finally the clutch locks up, and from there the engine just keeps revving up, and off we went 298 miles an hour.
Okay, here's a run we made a while ago. This up here is your clutch RPM graph. This is RPM of the engine right here going up and down. This line right here should be pretty well straight up. See how it blew the tires off right here, and then it shook real bad right up here at the top of the gear. That's when it kind of got out of shape on me. This clutch graph right here, you look at this yellow line, you see that other graph come up there? What should happen is this RPM shouldn't come down quite that far. And then this clutch graph, the yellow line, it should come in and meet the motor about right here. It's catching the motor way down here, and I got way too much clutch in the car. But I'm getting by. I'm going to take a little out for the finals and let it go.
Simple as that, huh? Let's begin happy hour with the baddest machines around. This is Doug Herbert with 5,000 horsepower plus under his right foot. But the problem is, he will not have an opponent here in the championship round. Bruce Litton's team cannot answer the bell.
It'll be a single for Doug Herbert as the trailer king from Indianapolis just flat couldn't make it. But you know what? Another runner-up finish. He's relatively, maybe almost a rookie in Top Fuel drag racing. He'll take that. Let's see what Herbert does. Does he put on a show for the fans?
Well, he shuts it off to save parts. Back in 1965 at the first Spring Nationals, Maynard Ruff beat Connie Kalita at 7:59. Doug cruises through at 7:73 with a 9.
Now, earlier, Bruce Litton came up to Kurt Smith, the IHRA Pro Staging Director, and told him it would be at least 15 minutes. At that point in time, he gracefully bowed out and said, go ahead, single Herbert, we can't make it. He'll be back then.
Somebody was smiling on you today.
Somebody was really smiling. I don't know what it is about this place. I love Bristol. I wish they just had every race here or something. I don't know. We have really good luck here. I'll tell you what, all my crew guys, Brissett and Mark and Walt and Fuzzy Carter, we had one heck of a crew. We were changing motors after every run. We were throwing the bell out, throwing the clutch out of the thing. All I can say is, yeah, Brissett. All I can say is Snap-on Tools and Wacon and Doug Herbert Bourne's parts and IHRA. Thanks.
You're back.
Thanks.
Back and gunning for his 5th World Championship. On to the Alcohol Funny Car final. He's spinning those slicks to lay down a layer of rubber and gain maximum traction off the line. Jimmy Rector giving it everything, hoping to pick up a victory here at the Spring Nationals. There's his opponent, Scott Weiss, hoping to become the first driver to repeat as Alcohol Funny Car champion at the Spring Nationals.
Both of them with new cars. Rector driving a 97 Dodge Avenger. Scott Wise decides to go the Fomoco route. 97 Ford Mustang.
Can Rector keep the string of first-time winners alive? Not off the line he doesn't. It looks like Wise's race.
Wise, a 6-flat, 230 miles per hour. Rector slow to only 185 miles per hour. We better take another look at that to see if we can determine what happened. Both of them off the line. Actually, Rector left first with a 4:77 reaction time. Then suddenly, Scott Wise begins pulling away at the 8th mile mark. As they approach the quarter-mile mark, it looks like there it is, a broken blower belt.
He left right with you, but I don't think, even if he hadn't had problems, he would have stopped a 6 flat.
Isn't that awesome? I got to thank God first for making this day so possible. It's extra special for Sherwin-Williams to be involved this year. It's their first win, first national event win. What can I say? The car is a hot rod.
If they held every race here, you'd be 20-time world champ.
We could win it all. We really could. Thank you, Brett.
I do want to say one thing. The chassis company that built this thing, this is one of their only funny cars out there, and they're a big sportsman chassis company, and they're always asking about how Scott Wise did. They're going to be elated.
They're very meticulous. They build the fastest chassis out here. Obviously, we own the track record here. I've got to thank Ashland Ford and Benford Leak and Commercial Machine with Bobby Jones. They're all special. They've been with me the whole time with Sherwin-Williams.
Here comes the family. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And so the jinx is over. Scott Wise becomes the first repeat winner in Spring Nationals Alki Funny Car history. On to the Pro Modified final. Ricky Smith looking for his first after 30 victories in Pro Stock competition on the IHRA trail. Keep in mind, he said he was going to take some clutch out of the car. We'll see if it works. There's the man he's up against. The distinctive colors of Tommy Mooney from Shelby, North Carolina, returning to the series after winning the World Championship in 1995. Almost identical cars in displacement and bodywork.
Don't forget, Tommy Mooney also won a Pro Stock World Championship a number of years prior to winning that Pro Mod Championship. Both guys very experienced. Off the starting line, it's going to be Ricky Smith with a 4:31 reaction time. Tricky Ricky pulls it out. He's back in the winner's circle, and he sets a new track record doing it. 6:49, 215 miles per hour. Let's pick him up at the 8th mile mark right now, and that's where Ricky begins to make all the horsepower. Did he set up the clutch right? Apparently so. Here's Brett.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tricky Ricky is back. Now, I'm interested to know, did the radio work?
Yeah, but he was about to cry so bad, I don't believe he could tell me what I run somebody.
Him cry.
I should cry, too.
This will break you up, buddy. 6:49 at 215 miles an hour. Numbers we only barely saw at Darlington. That on the mountain.
Brett, I knew if it ever got down a racetrack, it'd run. I kept taking clutch out of it all day, and gosh, I just don't know what to say. I mean, I'm just so proud of, Larry Tatterow helping me and staying with me for years. Carolina Drilling, Don Gray, Pete Williams. Hey, it takes a lot to do this. I know y'all know that, but you just don't know how much I appreciate these guys helping me.
How many more
I'm
classes?
just so glad that IHRA is getting this thing back on. They've had good crowds. Man, I'm tickled to death to be back on here, buddy.
Track record. Speed and ET, low ET of the meet, top speed of the meet, the win, and the third different eliminator category, you have won.
Just supposed to be a washed-up driver. I'm doing pretty good.
And that is a first in IHRA history, a winner in 3 eliminator categories. Now to our Pro Stock final. There is Billy the Kid back after a year away from the sport. He has been bulletproof all day long, getting quicker and quicker reaction times as he made his way to the finals. Right at Shepherdsville, Kentucky, up against Angelo Alesi from Cleveland, Ohio, a 96 Chevy Monte Carlo, 813 mountain motor cubic inches. This should be another great race.
Huff and Alesi have been matching each other all day long. Huff ran a 681. Alesi came out with a 683, then a 680 opposed to a 679. Here they go in the finals. Nearly identical reaction times. Side by side, Alesi pulls it out with a big top-end charge. He runs 202 miles per hour. His second national event victory in his very short career with IHRA. Let's take a ride one more time with Billy Huff. Watch Billy pull the gears at the lower left-hand corner of your screen. And you can see Alesi pull ahead in the last 100 feet. Now from outside the car, this is what it looked like. You'll see the front end rising first on Alesi's car. Billy Huff a little out of shape, has to correct at about the 300-foot mark. Now they go straight. Watch at the very end of the race. He noses him out by half a car.
Very few people know the tremendous adversity this guy has faced in the last couple of weeks, and I know you haven't brought it up yet, but I know that you also believe that somebody was riding with you today.
Yeah, we had a tragedy a while ago, and as you can see by the hood scoop, I know Bill was riding with me, and I'd like to dedicate this race to him. I'd also like to thank Sonny Leonard, my team, because they're the best, and Prolong and Snap-on for everything that they're trying to do for us. And I know that everything's going to work out well, and we're going to be real happy with what they're going to do.
I know your first win, you were elated. This one, I know, has probably 10 times more meaning. Congratulations to you, buddy.
Thank you very much. Yes, it does. Thank you. This one's for you, Bill.
And the Bill that Angelo Alesi refers to is Bill Oriole, who passed away not long ago, but whose memory is very much with his championship team. After 2 rounds, let's look at the points, Ted.
Well, Paul Romine, believe it or not, is on top by 10 points with that blow over here. Shirley Muldowney in second place. Now look, Doug Herbert won, and he's only in third place. Remember, although they only have 2 events in, there are qualifying points, and that's what's going on with Richie Stevens and Angelo Alesi right now. About 100 points difference with them. Ed Mahachuk in third place in Pro Stock. And in Pro Modified, Todd Tutterow with a narrow 40-point lead. It's going to be a battle. Look at Scotty Cannon coming in behind Ricky Smith, who's going to be a major contender in an alcohol funny car. Scott Wise has the most comfortable lead of any of the professionals on the Snap-on Tools circuit this year.
Our next stop on the IHRA Snap-on Tools National Event Trail will be Crane Cams, presenting the 6th Annual President's Cup Nitrous Nationals from Budds Creek, Maryland. Check your local listings for coverage here on ESPN2. I'm Bob Varsha for Ted Jones and Brett Kepner. Congratulations to all of our winners. So long from Thunder Valley in Bristol, Tennessee.